Good morning. Good morning. It's a beautiful, beautiful morning. I'm sitting here in my backyard and just kind of doing some reflection this morning. And it's something that I want to share with you guys. And some of you know my story, some of you don't, or know a portion of my story, some of you don't. But I really wanted to come this morning and share with those of you who don't know my story, but then those who know it, and you know, maybe this will lend to something that you may be going through right now. So I am Lisa Guice, your author, your self-relationship expert, your inspirational speaker, and your Be Great Now coach, coming to you on Why Not Wednesday. Totally different key this morning. My throat is a little, I've been sick, so my throat is really not up to par, but so that's as high as I can go for y'all this morning. But I'm coming to you on Why Not Wednesday because, you know, on Why Not Wednesday, that's my time to push you. That's my time to push you. So I want to know, what's your reason? What's your reason now? What's your excuse now? I want to know, what's your excuse now? So this time last year, 2015, October 2015, I was actually, I'm going to try to contain my emotions. I was actually doing regular visits to MD Anderson Cancer Treatment Center for my mother. We were going about 2 or 3 times a week at that point. And she was diagnosed with breast cancer in July of 2015. And it was devastating to our family. As you know, I do understand it's devastating to everyone who either is diagnosed themselves or has a family member who is diagnosed. And for me, you know, my mom moved with us from California to Arizona. We're originally from California, so it was very, very. It was a large leap on her part to just uproot her life and come here with us. So she's pretty near and dear to my heart, needless to say. So that was very devastating. I had already had some things in place that I was getting ready to work on. I was ready to just, you know, make things happen. And then I was thrown this loop. And of course, your first thought is just throw everything down. It's a wrap. I'm closing up shop. I'm, you know, whatever is going on with business, who cares, right? That's your mama. Who cares? But the first thing she said to me was, don't you dare stop. That was the first thing she said to me. Don't you dare stop. So I had to make a decision right there in that moment to continue on, if for no other reason, but because I knew she was watching. And I knew that if she saw in me that I was giving up, then it might also make her not want to fight as hard as I needed her to fight. She was one of those people who, you know, she gets mammograms regularly. And, you know, thank God that she does that. But this was in the in-between time. So she hadn't had a mammogram for like 8 months. There was nothing on the mammogram. But by the time July came, 8 months later, she had a really big knot in her breast, and which told us at that point, oh, you know, we need to really jump on this. And we went to the doctor, and the doctor confirmed that it was aggressive because of that short time window and how big it was. So we had to aggressively attack it. So aggressively attacking it meant sometimes staying at the hospital from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. because her body was so off kilter. I'll just say, just off kilter from the chemo and all the other drugs, and just, you know, everyone absorbs them differently, and she just had some complications. So sometimes our hospital visits became an all-day visit, and again, we would have to go 2 to 3 times a week. So I say that to say that in the midst of all of that, I began to ask God. I said, I know this is happening for a reason. I'm going to need you to reveal to me really quickly here what that reason is. I need understanding. I need clarity, and I need it quick. Because without that, I don't know if I'm going to have what I need to push forward for her. So he did exactly that. He revealed it to me. As we would sit in the chemo rooms and I would look at the other patients, it began to dawn on me, these people are in here fighting for their lives. And wherever I'm not in my life, it's because of the decisions that I've made. And here they are with no decision, having no say-so at all in their lives right now. Here they are with the one say-so they do have, which is the decision to fight. And that fight can be that fight can look like anything you need it to look like. It can be chemo. It can be for you not to decide to do chemo, whatever your treatment, your choice of treatment is. But the fact is, I looked at everyone in there. They were smiling despite the fact. They were smiling and engaging in conversation with me. Hi, how are you doing today? What's going on? And I'm just like, wow, to see life from a different perspective. Not in the hustle and bustle, not in the what do I need to do, when do I need to get there, what time I have to be there, just it was slow. Everything in that room was slowed down to a snail's crawl, because it wasn't about anything else but life. And it wasn't about anything else but fighting. So once God revealed to me what my purpose was in that story, which was to stop putting off what I had been saying I wanted for 3 years prior to that. And that was to write a book. I actually was in the process of writing a book, something totally different from what I ended up writing during this process. And I thought that was going to be my first book. I just knew that was going to be my first book because I had worked on it for so long. And he had a different plan for me. So I literally drew from every patient in that hospital, walking by, the nurses, and just how they were giving and just being of service, giving of themselves to have to be of service on a daily basis in that capacity. I applaud all nurses and anyone who volunteers for that, because it could be, some days it can be difficult. But what I did was I started to write, and I started to write from the perspective of when there are no more excuses, or the elimination of excuses, or the leveraging of your current obstacle. I started to write from that perspective. I felt like what was going on right now gave me an insight to that. And it's probably something that I would not have reflected on prior to, but that was my current state, and I was going to use it to my advantage if I had to be there, right? If you have to be there, use it to your advantage. So that's exactly what I did. And so I started to write, and I wrote my book, You're Just a Quote Away from Your Greatness, inspired by my mother and all of the patients at MD Anderson and all of the nurses at MD Anderson. And I wrote it from the perspective of those of us who are not living our dreams, those of us who are not going after our destiny and answering our calling, and the reasons why we may not be doing that. And so I broke each chapter down with different things that may be coming up. Fear, dealing with your past, dealing with your present and the people in it, whatever it needed to be. But I dealt with each issue, giving inspiration, giving actions towards greatness to debunk those obstacles and to leverage those obstacles, because it became very clear to me in that moment and during that process that nothing else matters. Nothing else matters. We're here for a reason, and the truth is we're here for a season. Now, when that season is, none of us ever know, but why not make the most of it? We're going to go through obstacles, and there's nothing we can do about those obstacles. Why not leverage those obstacles while we're in them? We don't have to roll around in the muck. So that was, that revelation came to me pretty quickly after she was diagnosed in July. By October, I was almost finished with the book. And my thought process was that this book would be released for January 2016 so that it could it could fall in line with, the new you of the year that everyone gets on the band with when it comes to the new year. But once again, life happened. So after she had her surgery in December, the end of December, December 30th to be exact, we went back for her follow-up treatment the first week of January. And while we're sitting in the waiting room for her follow-up treatment to her surgery, which went wonderful, by the way, God be the glory, and prayer warriors who were out there praying hard for us, I truly, truly appreciate you. You guys helped us make it through. But as we're sitting in the waiting room, she has a stroke. She has a stroke while we're sitting in the waiting room for her follow-up to her breast cancer surgery. We thought we were at the finish line, and we're sitting in the waiting room, and she has a stroke. Devastating, right? Whew! It took a lot, y'all, I'm telling you. So with that being said, she ended up in the hospital. The furthest thing from my mind was a book release at that point. I didn't care about a book release. From that stroke, she suffered some ailments, one of which is she couldn't walk. Her speech was a little slurred, but not much. We were able to get that back on track with physical therapy, speech therapy. We were able to get her back on track. But it was a long haul. So I could have just put the book on the shelf at that moment. Nope. God was like, nope. So once again, I took pause, took a deep breath, and said, now what? Now what are we going to do? How are we going to leverage this particular obstacle? So I waited about a month or two. Actually a month, I'm sorry, for her, for us to really get knee deep into her physical therapy, because I wanted to make sure she was on track. Of course, she was always my number one priority. And once that took place, I said, we're releasing in March. We're releasing in March. March is going to be our release time. And that's exactly what happened. So I released the book in March of 2016. And here's the book here. You're just a quote away from your greatness. During that release time, it was very important to me. I mean, I could have done the release a little differently, but I really wanted her to be a part of the release party and the release launch. So I had it in the comforts of my home, because I knew she could not go out, and she could stay up for a period of time, but she might need to go lay down. And I wanted to make sure she was able to do that. So we had it at my home, and I kind of kept it small, but I say all that to say, whatever it is in your life that you feel is more important than you answering the calling on your life or going after your destiny, I really, really want to encourage you to reevaluate it. Take a look at it from the perspective of, this is happening, and what am I supposed to be getting out of it? What's the lesson behind the obstacle? How can I leverage the obstacle? How can I use the obstacle to catapult me into what I've been denying all these years? That's really important, because again, life is not guaranteed. You don't know what's going to happen. I just knew that if I wasn't here tomorrow, I wanted to make sure that I had left something behind that would encourage someone, even if it was just one person, that would encourage someone to go after the destiny that's been planned for them by God, to go after their dreams, to not allow life to get in the way. As far as I was concerned at that point, there were no more excuses. There were no more excuses. I had come up with them all, and they had all ran out at that point. And this book was created out of that, what could have been deemed as a tragedy, what could have been deemed as a difficult time, what could have been deemed as a stop now moment. This book was born out of that moment, out of that time. because I would not allow it. I would not allow it. Don't allow it. You're just a quote away from your greatness. The word quote, the reason why I use the word quote is because quote in this book actually stands for quit using obstacles to escape your greatness. Quit using obstacles to escape your greatness. I could have used that obstacle, but I chose not to. I actually looked at what my mom was going through, looked at her breast cancer, looked at all the cancer patients that were in at MD Anderson, and used it to fuel me instead of using it to stop me. No more excuses. No more excuses. The one way that I did that is again, we were there all day, so we definitely had time to listen to videos or watch videos, listen to music, whatever. So I made it a point to listen to T.D. Jakes, and one of his sermons was about getting to your destiny. And he had 3 points, and those points just rang true. And I just kept thinking about those points every single time on those days when I didn't feel like writing, on those days when I didn't feel like being inspirational because I'm looking at my mom in pain. I kept pushing through because I kept thinking about those 3 points that he made in how to get to your destiny. And the first one was prioritize. So I'm giving these to you guys. I'm sharing these with you guys also because if you're stuck, I want you to get unstuck. So prioritize. Prioritize your schedule. Prioritize your thought process. Prioritize your what's important. Prioritize. And then focus. Get focused. Get focused on what's really important. Get focused on why you are here. Get focused on that. Get focused on that. Get focused on why this obstacle is happening and how it can be beneficial to you, how you can leverage it. We're going to go through the obstacles anyway. You guys know what I always say. You're going to go through the obstacle anyway, so why not leverage it? Why not? Don't let it be in vain. And the last point that he made was ignore. Ignore. I had to ignore all those voices that were telling me stop. I had to ignore all those voices that were saying this isn't the best time. I had to ignore all those voices that were telling me, really? Now? I had to ignore all of that and push through. And push through. I had to ignore the voice that was saying, I don't feel like being inspirational right now. I don't feel like giving of myself to the world when I need to give myself to my mom. I had to ignore all those voices. You guys know I'm an affirmation girl. I have my bathroom mirror is so full of things that there's no room left. I have to go on my husband's side of the bathroom in order to even do my hair. He's like, can you please get on your side? I'm like, there's no room. There's no mirror left. So, but this is what I put on that day, and it has the date on there. It has a date. I marked the date. I marked the date. So whatever you need to do, however you need to inspire yourself, I pray that this video helps you. I pray that this video pushes you. I pray that this video encourages you to stop making excuses. Because what's your excuse now? You've heard my story. I had every reason. You have every reason. We can come up with a plethora of reasons. But I just, okay, this fly is really, sorry. But I just, you know, on Why Not Wednesday, I just wanted to come and push you. I just wanted to come and push you. And that's just a small portion of the story, actually. A lot happened during that time, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit. This is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The video's starting to mess up. This is Breast Awareness Month, and I really wanted to come and share my story, share a portion of my story, a portion of my mom's story, just to hopefully make a difference. Just to hopefully make a difference. I even wore my little shirt to give me inspiration because I didn't want to break down during this video. I wanted to make sure that the message was conveyed. So go out there. Life is to be lived. Life is to be lived. Make sure you're living it. Go out there, run after your greatness. This is Lisa Guice, your self-relationship expert, your inspirational speaker, your author, your telling you that you too can do it, encouraging you to run after it. Go be loyal to your greatness and live your greatness out loud.